Hello, my name is Sam Feltham and welcome to Expert Interviews here on Smash the Fat. Now, firstly, I must apologise for being away for about the past 6 weeks. I've had a vacation in France with my lovely fiance and also been working on a few things as well in the background, the School of Slimology, my own online program, which you can check out at the schoolofslimology.com. But today we're coming back with an absolutely amazing interview with probably the father of low carbohydrate diets. If Dr. Atkins is the grandfather, this is the father of low carbohydrate diets as they are today, because this man really brought it in the forefront when it was starting to go downhill and being lost in the annals of medical history. But he brought it back in the year 2000. And if you haven't heard his name before, then I don't know where you've been. But we have with us today Dr. Eric Westman. Thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate being on the show.
It's absolutely fantastic to have you here, Doc, because as I mentioned in your introduction there, you were really the researcher that kind of brought low carbohydrate diets back in the forefront with an amazing pilot study to kind of show that low carbohydrates are safe and effective. And that kind of made a lot of other researchers maybe think, okay, maybe we need to investigate this a little bit more than just brush it off. And today we're actually going to be talking about your online clinic called Adapt Your Life, which is kind of the accumulation of kind of your life's work of dealing with people in making them healthier, slimmer, and all round better well-being. And kind of before we get into what Adapt Your Life is, which people can check out if they're on the computers at the moment at adaptyourlife.com, how exactly did you get into this crazy world of nutrition research and kind of dietary intervention in the medical establishment?
Like most doctors, I didn't know much about nutrition. And for me, it was about 16, 17 years ago when a couple of my patients actually did this kind of diet in my own clinic. And as an internal medicine specialist, I was curious because it worked. It clearly worked. In fact, the model I had was to send my own patients through my dietitians who were using the low-fat, low-calorie kind of idea, and they never really had much success. So to see two people in a row having really good success with weight loss and feeling better was remarkable for me. And I was just curious. So, I mean, I have no great weight loss story myself. I was a young researcher just seeing something that clearly worked. But then I started talking to other people about it. They said, well, it's not healthy. The cholesterol will go up. So I asked one of the guys who did the diet about that. He said, well, why don't you check it? So my patients actually had taught me about this and then had to work me through the usual kind of doctors saying, no, it can't work, it's bad for you, by saying, well, why don't you check my cholesterol? And in 2 cases in a row, the cholesterol looked better by any measure of the way you look at cholesterol. So I just followed my curiosity and looked at the bookstore, saw Dr. Atkins had one of the prominent books and visited him in his clinic in New York City. And so I guess in my mind, it was clear to me that it could work. And other people knew that it could work. And it was the safety issue that had to be addressed in a careful manner. And when we looked back at the science that had been done, it was really very cursory, very superficial. The last study that was done before ours was done in 1980. So there was about
It's unbelievable. 20 years.
A 20-year taboo on studying this. And so little did we know that Will Yancey and I at Duke University did these studies. And little did we know that it would be so earth-shaking, because we just kind of addressed the diet like it were a new drug. Let's do some clinical trials as if it were going for FDA approval. safety and efficacy trials, and it came out looking really good. So little did I know that what I was getting into. In fact, it was, and most doctors, it's good because they don't know much about nutrition. So if you do something that's new, it's just we have to kind of reboot the idea of what good nutrition is. And now it's come so far. It's been great to work with a website that's going to provide this information on a much grander scale. You know, I started a clinic on my own to use this at Duke University, and it's just kind of at such a slow pace. You know, I can see only so many people. The idea of having an internet site that teaches people in a simple way is really exciting for me. So, you know, going from a couple thousand patients, we want to really ramp this up to teach hundreds of thousands of patients just as fast as we can. And the internet platform may make that possible. So it's really exciting to talk about not only the past of how we got here, but also the future of how we can change so many lives. You know, people come to my clinic and see what I do, and to me it's kind of commonplace. You know, the weight goes down, the diabetes gets better, I take people off medications for all of these chronic medical conditions, and people's performance goes up, they feel better. So we really want to transmit that information as broadly as we can.
Absolutely, that's fantastic to hear, Doc, because a lot of people can be very confused at the start because you're saying kind of counter conventional wisdom type things, and kind of you have to explain a few concepts to people and kind of re-educate some misinformation that's kind of happened over the past 40 years. And this website, Adapt Your Life, is really kind of a culmination of the past 15 years of kind of low carb nutrition research and how it relates to health and what else you can do in terms of becoming healthier, slimmer and fitter. Now, before we kind of get into the nuts and bolts of exactly what the ADAPT program is, how exactly did this come about? Because you're in collaboration with, I believe, a South African website design team, aren't you?
Yeah, well, my good fortune was to meet a group from South Africa that was interested in, it's an entrepreneurial business group, and they were interested in really making a difference. And they saw the changes occurring in South Africa in regard to sports performance, and had several of the principals had their own experience doing low-carb ketogenic diets, doing better in cycling, for example. And so they contacted me and just said, do you want to get involved? And so we did the early kind of conversations, and I really am convinced that my partners like me are passionate about this and helping people. And as a demonstration of that, the information at the Adapt Your Life website is all going to be free. So much like the ability to just tell people the knowledge of how our bodies work, that is a big demonstration that we're really here to help people. And I was just approached by them, and we clicked. We both had the same goals, and I hope that that's going to show shine in the Adapt Your Life website.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. And so Adapt Your Life, there might be a bit of a clue about how that came about if you have been in the kind of low carb keto community, but how exactly did that name become what it is?
Right, so adapt just meaning changing, right? Changing for the better, and then also playing on the term keto adaptation that Steve Finney, one of my teachers, came up with some years ago. And of course, Dr. Atkins would talk about nutritional ketosis, and Bolick and Finney are coming up with a new description of what normal means in the context of nutritional ketosis. So we're wanting people to adapt and improve their lives in many different ways. Not only the nutrition change for health and wellness, like diabetes, and it's a therapeutic diet, and that's really where I come from. I sit in the clinic where I'm seeing people with diabetes and obesity and overweight and hypertension, and heartburn and polycystic ovary syndrome and irritable bowel syndrome, all of these different problems that get better. But it's much more than that for adapting your life just for general healthiness. There are even some early studies that suggest that adapting your life this way may be good for cancer prevention, Alzheimer's prevention, and anti-aging. So I'm asked to speak at conferences on anti-aging because the ketone and fat metabolism doesn't age your body as much as the glucose metabolism. So adapt your life really could mean adapting it in many, many different ways. We try to come up with a term that was new and yet old because of the keto adaptation. What do you think? Did we come up with a nice name?
I think you hit the nail on the head, in my opinion. Adapt is kind of really what I'm all about, because adaptation kind of, I suppose, brings a thought of evolving kind of with the times, and also, being up to date as well, which many nutrition programs, particularly in governmental organizations, aren't so much at the moment, because obviously Adapt Your Life is coming from the most up-to-date nutritional research done by yourself, Steve Finney, Jeff Folick, and all of you guys out there. So what does the Adapt program entail for anybody that's gonna try it out?
Sure. Well, at a very initial level, by just registering at the site, you can watch, I think, one of the best videos that talk about a low-carb ketogenic diet method, and all of the frequently asked questions are inside this 15 or 16 minute
I think it's 16, yeah.
That knowledge is something that has never really been accessible. I think when people think about the contribution I've made, it's really just making the information, it's been around a long time, right? And it's evolved, that we've refined it and maybe enhanced it, but we've also made it simple. And the feedback I get from the kind of teaching that I do is that it's understandable for most people. You don't have to read big volumes of studies or books. And that you're going to find really quickly when you enter the site, and that introductory and then the video about the diet itself. But the website has places where you can log in your own information and watch your progress over time. It has places where you can get the latest science in regard to health and diabetes and fitness, adaptation. I don't know if you've known, but we have a lot of sports teams now here in the U.S. following the other country sports teams who are now cutting out sugars and all before competitions, and apparently doing very well. But the site it has a lot of other their case or testimonials, people who've been generous enough to share their own information about how the program has helped them. Finally, the website will be a place where you can have the latest information about the products that Adapt is going to be coming out. The Adapt products are, I think, going to be the finest ingredients and also the lowest in total carbohydrates that we've ever seen. And this is good because it'll be consistent for type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes. If someone's trying to really be ketogenic, you'll have the convenience of some fine products and know that they're truly low in carbohydrate. I think that's just scratching the surface of the website, actually. I really encourage people to take a look and give us feedback. At this stage, we're adapting the website itself too. So, and we're going to be changing it over time. Having the first information of medical meetings and following Steve Finney and Peter Attia and Gary Taubes at newsy.org. Of course, Jeff Volek at Ohio State is one of the premier researchers that I've worked with as well. So it's really kind of my pleasure and an honor to be able to roll out something more to be more widely available.
Fantastic. So it's really going to be a bit of a hub for the low carb community at large, where people can get the latest information, but also kind of the simplest programs, and also the highest quality and truly low carb products available as well. Is that basically what you're saying, Doug?
It is. And so the partners that we have, when you go to the website, we have partners that are clinicians, that are bloggers, that are coaches. And so these are hand-picked folks that many of whom have been in the low carb world as long as I have or longer. And so we want to make sure that they're trustworthy people. We'll have some who are actually available for consultation through the site. Of course, the site doesn't do the consultation, but will be the clearinghouse for people. Then you can contact them directly through the site. Getting the trusted information, yeah, it's a minefield out there in some ways, and we do want it to be the one-stop shop, if you will, for not only information about how to do it. You don't. That's all free. You don't have to pay for that, but also the more in-depth information and good products that if you want those too.
Yeah, and also consultations, which I think are exceedingly important, to have that personal touch, and if you have any pressing questions as well that you want to kind of get answered straight away, and specifically that are in regard to your own health as well, kind of, just booking a consultation with somebody, either yourself or any of the other Adapt Your Life team, I think is super, super important, just to make sure that you're doing it right, and that you're also getting the right support and motivation as well. Is that part of it?
Absolutely. And if you have particular medical problems, you want to make sure that someone who understands them will help you through it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of any reason not to do it. It's just often the medical treatments, like medications, can become too strong, or there might be a fear of having an exacerbation when actually you're getting over the hump of an exacerbation, and you're actually going to be better as a result of it. But yeah, I would encourage people who are coming to this with medical problems on medications to get that support. In fact, the website has you have to you can't get in unless you guarantee that you don't have medical conditions that aren't being followed carefully by some kind of physician or healthcare practitioner. That's a good thing to bring up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very important. If you do have any medical conditions, that also you do disclose that, and that you have somebody physically following exactly what you're doing, because it's very, very important to make sure that you are curtailing your medication in the right way, and obviously you're kind of at the forefront of that as well, really, because unlike many other medical practices, you often take people off of metformin and insulin kind of in the right way through dietary intervention. Is that something common that you see in your practice?
Absolutely. My typical treatment of someone with diabetes who comes to me on insulin and other injectables, even, I can get them off the injectables usually in just a couple weeks.
Wow.
And they have been on the medication for years. It's really fascinating how fast that can happen. Now, it doesn't happen for everyone, but that just shows how powerful it can be. So actually with insulin, your insulin is adjusted to the carbohydrate you eat. So if you reduce the carbohydrate, you have to reduce the insulin at the same time, or the blood sugar will go too low. And while everyone understands it, when you explain it that way, people coming to it at the beginning without that sort of knowledge might not change the medication, and you have to address that. the kind of results that I see are, the weight loss is just one component. Just about everyone gets the heartburn that go away. And the paper we wrote on that, the discussion is really interesting because nobody really knows why. Of course, the stomach acid goes down when you don't eat carbs, but that's one of the most universal things. That after diabetes medications, I take away heartburn medications very, very frequently. And then high blood pressure usually takes longer, but that's another thing. If you have high blood pressure, taking medication for it, you have to be careful, have it monitored, and some people might think they feel weak because of the diet, when actually they feel weak because of the medicine. And so monitoring of these medical conditions is extremely important with something, with a diet change like this. Sometimes doctors don't understand because they weren't trained that diet really mattered. And diet, gosh, if there's one thing that I wish I was taught as a medical student, is that what you eat and drink is really important. Really, it's just, it sounds crazy, right?
It's crazy that it's never been that way. It's such an integral part of people's lives, and obviously their health. What you eat kind of becomes you, and it's bewildering that it's not part of kind of the medical education out. Well, more of a integral part of medical education, because obviously it changes your interior biochemistry and everything. It's bizarre.
But as another demonstration of how that compartmentalization can occur, most doctors don't think that the teeth matter, right? Until you can't chew, right? I mean, because the dentists take care of that, right? So what happened in the 1980s in the US is that the dietitians took over in the nutrition. And so it got sort of carved out of the medical training. Sadly, the training that I received was in the intensive care unit when people couldn't eat and you had to get total parenteral nutrition. So anyway, there were just ways that our minds compartmentalize things, and often it's political or sort of the profession change, dentists but anyway, nutrition really matters, and it's not so difficult really once you understand the basics of how our bodies work.
Definitely, and people can go check out that 60-minute video, which is absolutely brilliant, Doc. So well done on that. If you go to adaptyourlife.com, subscribe, check out the video, and check out all the other bits and bobs as well, because it's not just about those with any ailments like type 2 diabetes or obesity, or even type 1 diabetes or anything. It can even be for those that are maybe looking to improve their athletic performance as well, because as we were chatting about earlier, a lot of sports teams around the world are starting to get more and more into real food, low carb nutrition, which is rather enlightening.
Yeah, well, the nutrition principles, nobody argues that protein is essential. Protein comes first. Nobody argues with that. And now I think what's becoming new or clearly understood is that you can run on fat or run on carbs, and you can choose what to do by what you eat. You basically turn your body into a carb burning machine or a fat burning machine by what you eat or what you don't eat. And then the way we're made is just you have to burn the carbs if you eat them because we don't store them. So you can turn your body into a fat burning machine. And I guess what was not predicted is that it would be healthy and maybe even healthier and a more efficient machine and having more access to longer energy supplies when you're a fat burning machine. That's exciting to watch that transformation.
Yeah, and it's going to be very, very, very interesting to see how the up and coming sports scientists see that, with Professor Tim Noakes really kind of spearheading it on the sports science side of things, along with Steve Finney and Jeff Volek. because sports is all about results. If you don't get results, then nobody cares, but they are getting results, so it's kind of like you can't argue with it.
The converse of that is in the medical world. As an internal medicine doctor, family medicine doctor, we didn't require results. So the doctor in the US sitting in an office is paid even though there aren't any positive results from saying go exercise more and eat less, right? So it's wrong. There should be results. That's right. The first World Summit on low carb diets in Cape Town, the comment was the athletes are going to figure this out first, because they need those results. And gosh, the movie Serial Killers 2, such great pithy. If you just are learning about this field in terms of athletic performance, those are great places to start, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Check out Serial Killers 2, Run on Fat. Check out the original Serial Killers as well. And there are so many up-and-coming fantastic movies on this. Have you seen That Sugar film?
Yes.
Yeah. What did you think?
I really liked it a lot.
Yeah. It's really good. It was actually, and Dr. Asima Hotra over here, I think, was actually part of getting it played at Parliament. Actually, last week, I think it was. So hopefully we're going to start getting some politicians on board. And Jamie Oliver is getting more and more on board, who's one of the biggest chefs over here. And so fingers crossed, things are really going to start to kind of pick up in terms of improving dietary guidelines. But I'm sure there's still going to be many battles ahead with all of this. And do you see any kind of more movement across the pond at all?
Yeah. So the national guideline here is changing, or it's out for review, and will probably take away the restriction on total fat and on cholesterol in the food, and that's like a major tectonic shift in the way they're looking at things. And so, of course, the governmental changes are slow in the U.S., but that's a big change in the good direction, and they're starting to shine the light on sugar as being something of concern, although there's way too much allowance for it still for my taste. But so things are changing in a good way, and I'm optimistic. Of course, it's never fast enough, but I think the world is going to be different in 5-10 years, and hopefully we'll see the tide turn. Well, in Sweden, for example, they're already seeing lots of changes of increasing butter and no harm being done, and that's still kind of the lingering doubt, right? That people are waiting for the shoe to drop. Well, you wait 5 years, well, everything looks fine. I mean, everything looks fine now. It's 15 years, and yet still, when does it? So.
When is it allowed to be safe and effective? Because every time that I read because I don't know if you've gone through Slimology yet, my book, excellent. I appreciate that, Doug. And in every single randomized controlled trial that's there, it says in the conclusion of the abstract and in the main part of the trials as well, but further research needs to be done to find out whether it's safe and effective. Every single one, and it's like, well, how many do you need to do before it's like it's fine?
Well, then now they're meta-analyses, and so that's good. The summaries of the studies, and
that's right.
No one wants to be the first one to say it's safe and effective. Yeah, right. But it's time to roll out these other ways of educating folks in a way that's simple and safe and healthy. So thank you for. I really liked your book, Slimology. I liked your N of 1 study a lot. That kudos to you.
Appreciate that.
But it's kind of sad that it has to come to that.
Yes. very much so. But here we are, and it's just going to be onwards and upwards from here. And Adapt Your Life seems like it's going to be a real game changer in terms of helping people sift through all of the misinformation and complication that's out there in terms of using low carb nutrition for better health, and fitter health as well, in terms of improving performance, which people, as I said before, go to adaptyourlife.com and you can subscribe there and check out everything that's there and track all of your biomarkers and your diet, and even book a consultation as well. And you might even be lucky enough to get Dr. Eric Westman as well. Is that right?
That's correct. I'm working out the details, the logistics, but I'm really looking forward to having that available as well.
That's going to be absolutely fantastic. And then I believe that the products, the Adapt products that are going to be available, are available in South Africa at the moment, or is it October? Well,
the plan is a larger rollout to be available in October in South Africa.
Yes.
That's where the manufacturing plant is at the moment. Mm-hmm. And then hopefully by the end of the year, early 2016, to have them actually rolled out in the States.
As well, that'd be fantastic. I mean, do you have any idea about the UK at all, or?
Well, it's on the
it's on the list of things to do.
Yeah, so the holdup was we're trying to make to meet the hardest regulation, right? To make sure that every I is dotted and T is crossed, to make the most stringent regulatory rules, and then it'll be available quickly in every other country. And it happens in the U.S. is the most stringent one. So, but not to worry. The bars are fabulous. There are even some that are going to be designed for kids to have appeal and flavor profiles, and that's huge. I mean, this has to be something that.
And just so the folks know, how much per bar are we looking in terms of total carbohydrates?
We're looking at 2 grams of total carbohydrates.
Wow, that's incredible per bar. That's unprecedented. So again, just so people know, what ingredients have you got in them?
Well, so it's the best things we have available to give you great fats and sweetened with stevia. So it's a natural sweetener for the sweet ones, and a lot of different flavors. And anyway, well, you can learn all about that at the website, and yes. Hopefully those will be out really soon. I hate to talk about it too much until someone can order them. Right?
Yeah, order them. So we don't want to get people too excited. But yes, next month they'll be available in South Africa. Then later on in the year, or early 2016, they'll be available in the US, and hopefully thereafter available worldwide. And the great thing is that they're going to be about 2 grams per bar, which sounds absolutely unprecedented.
Of course, to be able to follow or know when they're available, log on Adapt Your Life, the website, or watch your show. Maybe you could have me on again when the bars actually come out and are available.
Oh yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic, Doc. So everybody, go check out adaptyourlife.com. I believe you can like them on Facebook as well at Adapt Your Life, and follow them on Twitter at Adapt Your Life, and Adapt Your Life everything. Definitely go check it out. Watch the 60-minute video. If you're still keen to get more involved, then check out the rest of the website. And Doctor, thank you so much for coming on today. Really, really appreciate it. And as you say, hopefully when the bars actually become available throughout the world, we can get you back on and we can do a taste testing live.
Fantastic. Love to. So
I
love what you do. Keep it up.
I appreciate it. I'm going to keep on pushing with all of this, and hopefully, in 5-10 years time, then everything's going to be sorted out. No debates, no arguments, and then we're going to be moving on with the next kind of global epidemic problem, that we've got, but I don't think it's going to be quite as simple as that. But I wish it was.
If you don't dream it, it'll never happen.
That's
right?
true. That's so true. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Well, again, everybody check out Adapt Your Life. And Dr. Eric Westman, thank you so much for coming on today. And I can't wait to catch up again with that live taste testing of these bars.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Doc. I'll speak to you soon.
Bye-bye.